No, go live.
Yeah, go live, go live.
Okay, I'm going live.
All right, so we're gonna get started in
I'm live.
5, 4, 3.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing? I be Keith and this be the B roll. So glad to see y'all can make it back here. Last week there wasn't broadcasting because they had some wonderful shows going on last week, twice. So we're here this week. How you doing? Again, I be Keith and this be the B roll. What's it about? This week is going to be multiple things, as always. It's going to be a little bit to do about this curriculum in Florida, as well as the governor and something else, the elitist conservatives, because they like to call everybody elitist, and people like to think that elitists belong to liberals, but that's not true. It's just not true. Elitists, and I'll go into that later and define what elitist is, or should I just go at it from the beginning? Well, what do you think? We'll go on it later. Elitists and all that other stuff. And our wonderful, illustrious, I got an illustrious governor, Ron DeSantis. And people think I'd be picking on this guy, but it's not true. It's not true. If you don't want somebody, getting at you, then don't get at them, right? I mean, look, if you don't want to if you're big enough to pass a lick, that's an old saying that I learned from a long time ago when I was a kid. And I'm talking about way back in the days, right? If you're big enough, according to my mom, if you're big enough to pass a lick, you should be big enough to take one, right? Okay, I mean, that's common sense. That's old philosophy, right? From an old Christian woman. And she knew how to hit, believe me. She knew how to hit. I didn't get hit a lot, but my family got hit a lot. My brothers and sisters got hit a lot, a great deal. So I know, just from watching them. A wise man learns from other people's mistakes, right? We got that. So anyway, like I was saying, this curriculum, have you heard about it? And I brought this up. Right here. Me and this crew, we brought this up a couple shows ago. Right? And it was under the indoctrination thing, when I defined indoctrination. Remember what that was? And I'm going to do that again. I'm going to define indoctrination again for you so you can get an idea what indoctrination is about and why this curriculum falls in that category, right? Why our illustrious governor, right, who pretends, I don't, it's not me, I don't know. Well, basically, that's what his way of saying, well, I'm going to stay on the fence until I see how this, start to unfold. Or is the state legislature going to take a big hit on this? Because they're going to take a big hit. No, I got nothing to do with it. But if it looks like it's going to, go over, if it's going to pass, not just pass in the law, but it's going to, look good for him to go in that position, then you know what? He's going to go that way. Okay, let's be clear about this. All right. So I've said that, and I said that to say this. This curriculum. You heard about this curriculum, right? This curriculum is like from, oh my gosh, I can't tell. I don't even think this curriculum was taught back in the days of slavery. Or coming out of slavery. This curriculum was not taught. It was just plain, it was just understood that with slavery and antebellum and Jim Crow and all that other stuff, those time periods, that time frame, that this curriculum was not taught. It was not taught that slavery was a good thing. It was never taught. But I'm not totally unsure that it's not being taught in other parts, in other regions of our nation, because I say this because I've heard a few times young, like teenage, like white kids say stuff like, slavery was good for black people. What? I think I lost my stream. Did I lose my stream? It says my stream ended. Are we looking good? Am I still streaming? Because it says end stream. So I got to double check because I'm not the technical person, all right? So anyway, like I was saying, and they were saying, you know, slavery is good for black folks, you know? And I'm like, what? Who are you learning this from? You know, who are you learning this from? Because I can tell you that this most likely started in the most liberal states, in New York, right? It started in New York. And I can say this started like 25, 30 years ago when I first heard them talking about teaching Malcolm X in schools. I said, Malcolm X? Oh, okay, cool. And you know what I hear? They go, hey, Malcolm X was a great civil rights leader. And I said, excuse me? Could you repeat that? Malcolm X was a great civil rights leader. And I said, where did you learn this from? And they said, oh, we're being taught. It came all the way from the New York State Legislature, right? The New York Board of Education, equivalent to the Florida Board of Education, yeah, educational system, leadership hierarchy. Yeah, same thing in New York. I said, whoa. Let me clarify something to you. Okay, I got the fact that y'all teaching Malcolm X, or y'all want to teach Malcolm X in the school system, but Malcolm X was not a civil rights leader. Malcolm X was a human rights leader. This is a fact. This is a fact. Malcolm X was a human rights leader. He never advocated for civil rights. Malcolm X always advocated for human rights. Okay, let's be clear about that. So then, fast forward to today, and it's not like shocking to hear that this is what they're being taught in today's school. And that's this curriculum that they're trying to force, this curriculum that's full of lies, inundated with lies, on to the public, into the public school system. And that they want to start at middle school. Because guess what? Indoctrination, that's right. And I brought this up. People tell you, we had a conversation about indoctrination, that I defined indoctrination. In this school, in this curriculum that they're trying to put, that they're putting forward, that they want to inundate the school system down here with, this fake narrative that slavery was good for black people. Oh yeah? Look, I don't want nobody, I ain't trying to get no white people to feel sorry about, slavery, or feel bad that slavery happened, because it happened. It happened. It just happened, all right? But there was nothing good about it. There was nothing you can say that was a trade-off with the skill set. What skill set did they learn? How to take whip lashes or lashes from whips, and while they was shoveling the cotton and picking the cotton and walking around with shabby clothes on and sometimes no shoes whatsoever. Most of the time, no shoes. Is that the good part that's supposed to offset the trade that they learned? No, it does not equate. This curriculum that they're talking about is that about slavery was good for black folk. Yeah, it was good for black folk. Yeah, the slaves, they benefited from it. What part? Everybody asking the question, what part? If you don't know, I want to put it out there, because that's what this show is about, to put this stuff out, to debunk these narratives, these false narratives, lies that they like to perpetrate. This has come from the elitist conservatives. They like to brand, like I said before, anything that they're guilty of, or stuff that they want conservatives or the elites, the elitists in this nation. I'm not even going to call them conservatives. All right? I'm not going to call them conservatives. The elitists in this nation, the true elitists, the true powers, the power base, the rich, the very wealthy, those who use tools like a Trump in the state legislatures and what do you call those things in Congress, and the members of Congress, as nothing but tools. Okay? Let's talk about the elitists later on. But I want to be clear about this. This is what it's about, debunking. Stuff like this. This stuff about the narrative. They don't want you to know about the things in slavery Let's talk about some of the things. Let's talk about how they had breeding houses, right? They had big shindigs, you know, on the weekends or during the week. They have breeding houses. They taking young, childbearing females, slaves, enslaved women, right? Females, children. Because if they were childbearing, they could be 12, they could be 13, doesn't matter. 14, 15, if they could bear children, they would take them and they would put them in a room with one of the most scariest or whatever they may be bucks that they had, with one purpose: to impregnate that female, And I said female not to be derogatory, but because they were women as well as children. If they were childbearing age, that could be 14, 13 again, didn't matter. They were property. That's what slavery was about here in this nation. Not just one section, one part, but throughout this nation. You want to hear about the Democrats and the Democrats and the Republicans, and the reason why I say the Democrats and the Democrats, because at that stage, at that time, there was two types of Democrats. There was two types of Democrats. It was two parts. It was a two parts to the Democratic Party. You often hear it. It's liberal all the time, and it's conservative, liberal. This is what they were going back and forth, because in the North, the Democratic Party consists of the liberals. That's what the liberals are. They call it the Liberal Party, the Northern Democrats. The Southern Democrats were the conservatives. Were there slavery in the North? Yes, but then they abolished slavery in the North under the Liberal Democrats at large. In the South, the conservative Democrats kept perpetuating slavery. They were not giving up their slaves. They needed somebody to do that hard work and labor. But they didn't, they wasn't going to give it up. They didn't give it up. And so with that being said, there were two branches of the Democratic Party. And these elitists from the South, who went to war as an act of treason against our nation, because that's what they did. It was an act of treason. That was slavery. That was part of the whole slave thing. You get what I'm saying? In education in schools. Education in schools. And back to what I was saying, the tyranny that went along with it. The evil. It was an evil thing. You can't say it was a blessing in disguise. Or you can say it was a blessing, but it wasn't for black folk. It wasn't for black folk. So them wanted to perpetuate this false narrative that, slavery was good for any black folk. It's a lie. Getting beat with a whip to the point where it cut your flesh, cut the white meat under you. You ever scrape yourself that badly where you see you look and say, whoa, that's what's that? And you look under your leg, and we all got it. Doesn't matter your race, creed, color. When you scrape off that skin, under it is white. That's a fact. That means that you got a sore on your arm. You got a sore on your arm, all right? To have that slash, get hit with a whip like that because you're not working fast enough. Or you looked at the wrong person. Or they thought that you looked like you were about to say something that they didn't like, the master, and you got whipped. Wah. Tore into your flesh, drew blood. They didn't leave blisters, whip marks. They left gashes. What was so good about that under slavery? Huh? What's so good about that? What's so good about your mama, your sisters, your aunts being at the beck and call of anyone that the master decided that they would be on? Them being raped repeatedly. What was so wonderful about that? That they don't want you to learn. Huh? Oh, yeah, all that, right? All that for starters, right? Because we just getting started. Being a family torn apart, ripped apart, sold as units, as parts of a family. You wasn't even considered family. Your cattle, your livestock. That's all. That's slavery. That was slavery here in this nation, in America. Where? Well, all of the southern states. Yeah, that includes the Sunshine State of Florida. Believe it or not. Yeah. Then they want to take away things. They want to keep having you believe these fantasy stories. These fantasy stories, these lies. What kind of lies? What kind of fantasies? Okay, well, let's go. Well, did we go over the breeding houses? Did we go over the hangings? Did we go over the castration of men? Huh? Did we went over that? Did we go over the homosexuality? That's a handsome little boy. And the master, bring your little boy up to the house. Yeah. Huh? Did we go over that? No. Oh, we didn't go over that. Okay. Well, we just did, right? Slavery. Had no choice. Had no choice whatsoever. This is slavery. Okay? That was a slave. That was time of slavery. Then after, nothing changed. Nothing changed for a long, long time. The Congress put forth this, the 14th Amendment gave people the rights that when they came to this nation, that they had citizenship. If they was born in this nation, they have citizenship. Okay, the Citizen Clause. That's in the 14th Amendment. But what was the one that freed, that the constitutional amendment that said, that abolished in writing slavery? Oh yeah, that was the 13th Amendment. It wasn't the 14th, it was the 13th Amendment that abolished slavery in this nation. And after that, during Reconstruction, things got even crazier. If you could think, got crazier. Because then they start slaughtering people. They start slaughtering black folk. This is what came after slavery, because they felt they had the right to do it. Here in the southern states, here, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Mexico, Texas. Are you aware that during that time period, right after slavery, that it was, I believe, Texas that elected the first United States senator? Texas, of all the states in the nation, the first United States senator came from Texas. As a matter of fact, they had 12 congressmen from Texas, black, former slaves, children of former slaves. That's history. See, that's black history. That's real black history. Not this garbage, this crap that they want to promote now as an act of indoctrination. Hold up. Where did that word come from? Oh yeah, we said it right here just a couple weeks ago. Did a whole third of a show on indoctrination. What are they doing now? This is a continuation. They put this in place. First, they got rid of the normal curriculum, right, of black history. They got rid of it. They called it wokeness. CRT. But CRT is a fantasy. CRT is a lie. It's just not taught below PhD level. And even on PhD level, it is not mandatory. It is, again, it is an elective. So it's not taught. It's not taught in the college. It's not taught in for a bachelor's degree, for a master's degree, a bachelor's degree. Not taught in the secondary and in the high schools. It's not taught in the middle schools. And not taught in the elementary schools. But they use that fake narrative to get rid of the African American curriculum. Then they had these. I'm gonna throw a word at you. Remember I said elitists? Yeah, that right there. Stay with me with that, because I'm going to go back to that elitist, okay? Our governor got rid of the African American educational or curriculum because of this fake narrative. Our governor and the state legislature got rid of the African American curriculum. And now we see why. Because they wanted to put this garbage, this form of indoctrination in its place. Because that's what it is. It's a form of indoctrination. That's all. It's indoctrination. Again, that word, okay? Our governor, when he was screaming indoctrination. And I said, this is what these elite conservatives, this is what they do. This is how they do it. This is their playbook that they're using. It's nothing new. If you've seen it over the last 40 years, I have been paying attention to this when I became more political minded. 40 years. And little by little, it started to get, the picture started to become clearer of the tactics that they use, which is not new tactics. It's just that when they used it back then, people didn't really pay attention to it. But I'm bringing it to you. This show is bringing it to you. This is what they did. The governor want to say now, oh, hold up. That, I ain't really got nothing to do with that. Oh, sorry, I don't know God what to do with that. I don't know what. Whenever you see the governor start to talk, and his head start bouncing all over the place, doing that bobblehead thing, guess what? He's most likely lying. So when he said, I don't know nothing about that, of course, name one thing that has gone through one piece of legislation that's considered to be major or not major, that has gone through the state legislature, that was passed in the state legislature, that the governor didn't have something to do with. Name one piece. That's just one piece. That's all. One piece. Can anybody name one piece? Now, you can't name one piece of legislation that was passed that the governor didn't rubber stamp or didn't make known that would like to have passed, and he officially stamp it into law. Name one piece. Can you? Remember when they did the redefining the maps, the congressional districts? Remember he got rid of, I think it was 2 black districts, right? 2 seats, which was gerrymandered, but against Florida state law, but they didn't give a damn. They did it anyway. It was simple. It was gerrymandered, but they did it anyway. The governor have anything to do with that? No. We don't back down. The state legislature, literally, this state legislature gave the governor the maps, the district maps that fit within the guidelines of Florida law. The governor then redid the maps, said, no, I don't want those maps, and he streamlined it so that it eliminated 2 districts. 1 to 2 congressional 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 districts. 1 to 2 congression That's what the governor did. But in doing that, he also, if you think about it, that also eliminates other seats, right? Because if it affected congressional districts, what did it do with the state districts, with the Senate and the House and the House seats? How did it affect them? Think about that. But again, I belabor that point. The fact is that the governor is up here saying that, oh, I don't know anything about that. Because now that his campaign, yes, I said his campaign is failing or flailing, right, floundering in a sea of practically nowhere. All of a sudden, he's not standing up there being so bold anymore. He's still whispering, wokeness, wokeness, wokeness. But that wokeness is starting to get played out. So now he's a little bit cautious when he says things, or when it comes to the point where he wants to take credit for things. Think about it. I want you to think about this. This curriculum that says, hold up, slavery was good for black folks is a lie. It is not only a lie, it is against Florida law and federal law that has to do with discrimination. You can't say it's not discriminating when you have this type of education put out there, and it's totally against one person. It favors one person or one group severely over another. When it takes out and lies, not just takes out, but lies on the other group. Because you're saying, hey, it was good, it's a lie. And the governor said, I ain't got nothing to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what happened. That's BS. Look at when he, I don't know what happened. That's the governor. Whenever he starts lying, his head be bobbling all over the place. Maybe I'm the only one who ever noticed that, but if you pay attention, when he starts to lie and he go, or he gets angry, it's like, how do you read it? How do you read this person? That's how you read it. Again, the governor claims he didn't know anything about it. Oh my gosh, that's like Bidenomics, right? What do you teach now? That the economy in Florida is good? Is that what you're going to teach in economics? That the Florida economy is good? When it has the worst inflation, it's still the worst. When the inflation is twice as much as the nation is at 3 point something, like right at 3 point, right? Where the Florida inflation in Florida is at 6%. The nation is at 3%. Nationwide, it's leveled out to like 3%. But Florida is still at 6%. They were calling it Bidenomics, right? Bidenflation, right? Remember that term? Bidenflation, another cutesy term, yeah, another catchy term, Bidenflation. But now it's DeSantis inflation. Think about it. Florida's the only state that inflation is not going down in. And now we can see why. We can see how they're running things, how these elitists are running things, how they want to indoctrinate people and have them think one way and block out anything else. That's what they're doing right now. That's why they want you to believe that this educational system, that Black history, African-American history of Black history, the program that they put forth is a good thing when it is a lie. What I can't even pronounce it. What's that? OCEE? They had what they want to call a uprising of the black folk in OCEE, whatever, however you pronounce that. I know I'm like basically butchering it, but I apologize. But like somewhere between 30 to 60 people, black folk, were killed, were slaughtered, murdered for doing one thing: attempting to vote. They tell you about the 30 to 60 people that were killed, as the number is high as 60 that were killed just because black folk went to vote. Right here in Florida. It was not no uprising, no former slave black folk uprising. It was a mass murder. It was killing. It was a massacre. You can't say that, hold up. Well, you can say it, but how do you justify it when you see people with no arm, no guns, no nothing, walking someplace, walking simply to do their constitutional right, exercise their constitutional right, which is to vote, and people want to stop them and start to beat them with freaking bats, shovels, whatever they got, guns shooting them. How do you call that an uprising? No. That is a mob massacre. And it didn't just take place in OC. It took place in Rosewood as well. So they don't want that to be known. They don't want that to be known. Rosewood was a massacre. There were some people who fought back, who came from the military, who fought back. But that was after they was under siege. Hundreds of people were killed. The numbers, they don't even keep a record of how many people were killed. They just said there was a township here and they came in and it was an uprising. It wasn't an uprising. It was a massacre. It was a massacre. Murdered, killed. Women, children, men. Killed. For what? Because of the color of their skin. Think about that. Think about that. To quell. So the elitists had to quell the advancement or the virtual motivation of those who were considered to be lower despots, who were white and lower despots. Because the elitist, the conservative, is up here. White folk who think they really rich, think they doing okay, guess what? No, you're not doing that great. I think it was it Theodore Roosevelt? I forget. One of the presidents once said, it may have been FDR, who said, if you take the poorest white man and make him believe he's better than the most successful black man, if you get him to believe that, if you can get him to believe that, then you can win any election. Something. I'm kind of paraphrasing that, but that's true. There are doctors out here who some people feel, you know what? Yeah, I live over here in this trailer park, and yeah, I ain't got no electricity. Yeah, and this and that, and it's the worst conditions because I allow it to be. I'm okay with this. That I'm living better than you, who have strived to get where you are, who have strived to bring up your family to the next level. This is the dynamics that they use. This is what they use, the concept, the ideology that they use. A lot of people saying, well, what's wrong with that? Giving people credit for being the governor, if it depends on which side it falls on, and the governor will say, oh, you know what? If it falls, like I said, if people like the indoctrinated really stand up, like those women who call themselves Christian moms, Christian conservative moms, who are really not Christian. And I'll give you an example. I was talking to one of my moms. I have many moms. And I was explaining to her how when I hear somebody say that they're a Christian and that she's an example of what a real Christian is, she don't really go to church. She's never really going to church. I know she never really went to church, but here's the thing. The things that she did as far as taking in neighborhood kids who had lost their way, and if she has food, share it. They came in, they could just chill out as opposed to being out there in the elements or whatever. And like, there's like, you know, I brought it to attention, there's like dozens and dozens of kids who call your mom. I think finally she thought about it for a second. I said, yeah, see, that's what a Christian is. See, that's a Christian mom. You understand? That's what a Christian is. Not somebody who go with all of the stuff, that, you know, with all the fancy dancy, all the baubles and all that stuff. Right? No. Somebody who lives it. Somebody who gives out, who shows that love. Right? Like the rich man who asked Jesus, "Huh, Jesus, how can I get into heaven?" And Jesus said, "What are you asking me, dude? What are you asking me? I can't get you into heaven. There, I can't get you into heaven. You got to earn your way into heaven. I can't do what you want to put in the word for Pop. I can't do that. I'm not going to do that. Come on, give it a break. You feel me? You see what I'm saying? A true Christian will not turn a blind eye to this stuff. Now, a true Christian is not gonna cultivate a lie. Okay, and the reason why I bring this up is because elitist conservatives, these elitists up here, they like to take religion and blend it in politically when it's advantageous to them. But when it's not advantageous, they don't want you to look at that moral thing. Nah, forget morality. Nah, not morality. Nah, we don't want no morality. We just want them to look at this portrait that we put in our head, this, and accept it at face value. Slavery was wicked. It was evil. I don't care in what part of the world, it's evil, okay? There was nothing good about it. The governor brought this stuff, he set this into motion months ago. And I brought this up. In my last season, I brought this up. Think about it. This whole thing, and I was looking at something that I had put out like over 10 years ago about the same thing. How they get things, they make up things, and they run on it. And the elitists, the ultra nationalists, and that's what they are. They're white nationalists. I mean, a lot of people like Clarence Thomas might think, an Ice Cube or Mr. O'Shea might think, they might think that they are part of that. You're not. They're not. The billionaires, if they get somebody better than Clarence Thomas, guess what? Bye, Clarence, because you're expendable. Thank you. You did a good job, son. or boy or whatever they refer to him. But you have a nice time. Go take that retirement, because we got this one, right? They got a couple guys right here in this in Florida. They got a congressperson. Blah 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 blah. Don't believe the crap. But they know, he knows, and the ones in Congress who are talking that trash, the one running, the senator from wherever, North Carolina, North Carolina, and who's running this, I'm the next president, I'm conservative. You're not a conservative. You're not a conservative. You're not. How do I know? Because you're not rich and you're not white. You're not rich and you're not white. You're not a conservative. You're conservative in name only. Oh, you can be a Republican. Oh, yeah, but you are not a conservative. Conservatism is a thing of white nationalism. That's why you had the conservatives in the South still fighting for, to keep slavery in place. That's why they went to war. And believe it or not, they had black folk fighting on both sides. Believe that. They had black folk fighting on both sides. The ones from the southern side thought they were going to get freedom after all this had they won, but believe it, they wasn't going to go, you know what, you did very good. We're going to give you some extra portions and we're good, all right? You did good. But it's not, so if you're not rich and white, you're not a conservative. You could be part of the white nationalist movement, a supporter. You can be a supporter of conservatism, but if you're not rich and you're not white, you're not a conservative. Because conservatives are white, rich, they are the elites, the elitists, and that's not you. You could earn your way into that crowd, like, for example, a Donald Trump, father, grandfather, they earned their way into that conservative crowd, especially his father. Donald Trump thought he was in that crowd, but they're like, hold up, dog, you just here for us to use. We loved your daddy. Your daddy was a great man, but you aren't. Ergo, when you look at Mr. Wannabe knockoff, what's his name? Our illustrious governor, Ron DeSantis, who thinks he's a conservative, you are not a conservative. You are a tool of the elites. You are not elite. You're basically a dummy. That's all. To be used. That's it. Anybody who think that they are conservative, elitist, true white nationalists, you are not. You are used. You are being used by those elitists, and that's why I said that. This is a reality. Come to terms. That's why they got the class, the class, right? You are not. You've got to be old money. You hear them talk about rhinos nowadays. Moving on. But I keep talking. I keep bringing up those things because it's all related, and it's all in a cycle. It's going to keep coming up. Elitists. We went from education, how that is a white nationalist. This curriculum is a white nationalist curriculum, discriminating, prejudice, and everything else corrupt. And it's a farce. It's a lie. Our governor, who claims that, I had nothing to do with it, when we all know, everybody knows, that nothing gets passed in this legislation without him. Meanwhile, Florida is hemorrhaging. Inflation is twice that of the national average. Florida is hemorrhaging, right? Homeowners insurance is flying out the roof. I'm not even going to say starting. It's already started flying out the roof, going sky high. We got homeowners insurance who are leaving the nation. The nation of Florida. the Florida, And we can say in droves, because you get 1, 2 every few months now. What you think about that? Why? Because they came here, it was okay, but because the elitists, these conservative elitists, have taken over again, have gotten a strong foothold into the Florida economy, the state of Florida, and they started under Jeb Bush, and they have been growing ever more since. Let's look up elitism, okay? What's elitist? Wikipedia. Elitism is the belief or notion that individuals who form an elite, a select group of people perceived as having an intrinsic quality, high intellect, wealth, power, nobility, special skills, or experience, are more likely to be constructive to society as a whole, and therefore deserve influence of authority greater than that of others. The term elitism may be used to describe a situation in which power is concentrated in the hands of a limited number of people. Beliefs that are in opposition of elitism is, I ain't gonna try to pronounce that word, anti-intellectualism. Wow, that was a very simple word. Populism, and the political theory of pluralism, meaning everybody should get a little bit of the pie, right? You work hard, you should get a little bit of it, right? All this stuff is intelligent. Everybody should be intelligent. Everybody should be smart. Ergo, you have these systems that's dumbing down the intellectual capacity of the citizenships, especially in a state like Florida. They're trying to dumb down the children while the other nations, yes, I said the other nations and even other states, are starting to grow exponential, not even exponential, but they're growing. They're constantly growing. We could talk about the Asians and stereotyping about this and that, and the people from India and the Hindus, the Central Asians. We could talk about all. We could talk about the Germans, all these other nations that are growing, continue to grow. In math, science, astrology, all these other things, medicine, the legal field, nursing, medical doctors, as well as nurses. You see all of this stuff happening right now out throughout the world while they're trying to keep everybody dumbed down here in the nation. I said the nation of Florida, because they consider this to be a nation. The elitists, the ones who think that they are better than you. The conservatives. White nationalism is a tool, is a vessel in which they use to continue to hold down the masses. It's just a continual thing. Are we okay with this? Are we okay with this? How do you grow? You grow by interacting with people, with studying. That's how you grow. You grow by not holding yourself back. They can't have that. They can't have you, the average person, whether white, black, Asian, whatever, Spanish. They can tolerate if you're white. They can tolerate it. But they can't have you infringing on their their crowd. They can't have you infringing on what they believe to be theirs. I saw this weird thing the other day, and it was talking about the richest family in America, worth $2.9 trillion or something, nearly $3 trillion. And you know what I thought to myself? That might not be out the scope of reality. That might not be out the scope of reality. Think about it. If a family been around, owe money, then they probably, they're probably within that realm. That's not, it's not hard to think. It's not hard to comprehend. Especially when you think about somebody like Elon Musk, who's worth maybe, over $150 billion? What's that other guy named? Bill Gates? What's that young kid name? Mark Zuckerberg? Think about that. Is it so hard to fathom that somebody could be worth a billionaire already? But guess what? You got it. They're not advertising. Because I find it hard for somebody to be earning whatever, $40 billion a year, right? $40 billion a year. 20 years. What's that? 40 billion, 20 years, $800 billion? How is it that when you look at somebody like who was the former owner of Amazon, Bezos, how is it that he's only worth every year, let's say $90 billion? He's been worth $90 billion for the last 10 years, right? He's been worth $90 billion for the last 10 years. How is that? How is Bill Gates worth $80 billion for the last 20 years, 25 years? How is Elon Musk worth only $150 billion every year for the last 5 years? How is that? You tell me, how does that even sound rational? Think about it. If you got a salary, right, and say you making $200,000 a year, right, but your expenses aren't that much. Okay, you spend $1 billion, you're making $200,000 a year, right? And you're spending, $50,000 a year, right? House paid for, right? That house is now accumulating money, right? That property, that real estate is accumulating money, right? So it's paid for. It used to be worth $100,000, $200,000 when you first bought it, but now this is 10 years later, so it's worth about $500,000, right? Especially depending on the area that you're in, right? Think about that. Okay. Now, you're not spending $200,000 a year, right? You're making $200,000 a year, but you're only spending, 50, 60, even if you spend $100,000 a year. So in 2 years, if you spent $100,000 a year, you spent $200,000 over the last 2 years, you still accumulated another $100,000. So you should be worth $200,000, right? If it's 10 years at $100,000, it should be $1 million, right? That you're worth $1 million. That's how much you accumulated. So let me ask you something. If they're not spending that $50 billion or whatever, that $80 billion a year, how come it is that they're still only worth $80 billion the next year? Think about that. I want y'all to think about that. So I said it to say this. We spoke about this curriculum, but I mentioned this. Oh my gosh, I got to look at some of my older stuff from a decade ago. I saw something that's like, whoa, I got it, we're good, all right? So that being the case, how many different things can I elaborate on? That this thing again with the educational farce that they want to promote is nothing more than indoctrination. Let me see if I can find indoctrination again. Let's see what indoctrination is about. Indoctrination from the dictionary, dictionary.com, the process of teaching a person or group to accept a set of beliefs uncritically, right? Excuse me. Let's go into what does it mean to indoctrinate somebody? Britannica Dictionary. To teach someone to fully accept the ideas, opinions, and beliefs of a particular group and to not consider other ideas, opinions, and beliefs. Well, that being the case, excuse me again, I got to start bringing me some water. That being the case, let's put this out here. Let's put this curriculum out here. All right. So let's see what it does. Remember I said about in children? Okay, let's see what it means to indoctrinate a child. Abstract indoctrination is a term which, to the extent to impose ideas or beliefs upon people in areas that ultimately call for individual reflection, decision-making, and choice. Okay? It is a distasteful activity because it is aimed at limiting the individual's ability to think and choose. What does that mean? That means they could feed you anything from there. Oh, slavery wasn't so good, so why do we have to, if slavery was good for black folk, you're teaching this to little white kids because that's the goal. Little white kids, then why do we need to have equal opportunity? They're in the 5th grade, they're in the 6th grade, they're in the 7th grade, they're in the 8th grade right now. But one day they are going to be adults and they are going to be the leaders of this nation. We already saw with the Supreme Court what happens, right? How they overturned legislation that had been on the books for 50 years, right? Let's go. What is meant by indoctrination in schools? The term indoctrination typically means to instruct or to teach. It can be understood as teaching or in a particular set of beliefs, ideas, or attitudes on an individual or group without allowing any possibility of questions or challenge against it. So they're teaching it so that people can say, oh, no, this is the truth. It's not the truth. It's a lie, right? It's made to do one thing, to numb people to certain things. I'll give you a prime example, and then I'm going to start wrapping this up. In Congress, they've had multiple meetings. How many meetings on gas stoves? I think 3. Yeah, congressional meetings on gas stoves. So I want to wrap this up really quick. Congressional meetings on gas stoves. How many meetings on Hunter Biden and his laptops and things that nothing got anywhere? They literally showed, one of them literally showed pornography, right? Nude pics in Congress where everybody can see it in the world, okay? That being the case, where do we go from there? That's indoctrination. You can turn a blind eye to things. They make it so that you can turn a blind eye to things, so you can desensitize you to things. They could put anything over you. That's the elitist. That's the elitist conservative. Not Republican, elitist conservative. Because elitist conservatives in any fashion. So I just want to wrap this up and say that thank you very much for giving me the opportunity again for broadcasting. Everybody's watching, and watch this, right? I be Keith, this be the B-Roll. And thank you for the crew, for my man the Rab, and for my man John. We out. We're good? We're good. Everybody, we're good. So that being the case,